Australia, long celebrated as the lucky country for its wealth of natural resources and industrial strength, now finds itself at a crossroads. Once an economic powerhouse, the nation is grappling with a perfect storm of challenges that have shaken its core. The COVID-19 pandemic, disruption of supply chains, and inflation have put it in a severe economic condition. Economic growth has slowed to a crawl, just 1.1% in early 2024, the weakest pace since the pandemic. And with a spiraling housing crisis and mounting unemployment, Australia's golden age seems to be fading. But how did this vibrant economy fall so far, so fast? Let's take a closer look at the forces that have brought Australia to the brink. A closer look at history shows that Australia experienced an impressive growth rate in the 1990s. Although manufacturing and agriculture accounted for most of the economic growth in Australia, a significant shift took place. The era of the 1990s was ultimately defined by the new economy. The rise of new technology and the internet had profound impacts on Australian business and market growth. Since then, there has been a significant change in the key sectors of the economy. The main sectors that contribute to the Australian economy are financial services, energy resources like iron and coal, agriculture, and infrastructure. Along with the positive economic growth, Australia has been a major player in global trade and investment. It boasts a high standard of living and a well-developed consumer market. But among all the other sectors, mining is the powerhouse behind the Australian economy. It has a whopping share of the national GDP in the export sector. In 2022, it accounted for around 13.7% of the GDP. The mining industry has guided Australia through the global financial crisis and the pandemic. This mining includes the extraction of precious minerals like iron ore, gold, silver, and coal reserves. Interestingly, Australia has one of the largest coal reserves in the world. According to reports, mining added almost 352.41 billion Australian dollars to the national coffers. On the other hand, the agricultural sector's contribution to the GDP was 2.38% in 2023. Manufacturing accounted for 5.38% of the nation's GDP, according to recent development indicators. Similarly, the industrial sector's contribution was 27.28%, while the services sector had a whopping 63.3% share. So this analysis shows that economic growth relied heavily on the industry and services sectors. Adding to that, Australia is the world's largest producer of lithium and among the top 5 producers of gold. It has the 4th largest mining industry after the United States, China, and Russia. Looking at these incredible numbers, one would wonder, how did the Australian economy come close to a standstill? Let's head on to discuss what the challenges are to the Australian economy. The first and foremost challenge to Australia's economy is its trade alliance. China has been the top trading partner for Australia and accounts for 1/3 of its overseas trade. This trade is in the form of the export of mineral resources like coal, gas, and iron ore. In a rapidly changing global atmosphere, Australia is a key member of the United States-based and UK-based AUKUS military alliance. The sole purpose of this alliance is to counter Chinese expansionism in the Indo-Pacific region. Not only that, but Australia's diplomatic cooperation with India, Japan, and the US in the form of Quad also reflects Canberra's commitment to its Pacific Island neighbors. So this agreement is a huge concern for the future economic relations of Australia with China. As a top trading partner, this may put Australia in troubled waters, with a direct impact on economic growth. Another factor hampering Australia's economic growth is high inflation. Australia is experiencing record levels of inflation due to the after effects of COVID-19, the war in Ukraine, and the surge in consumer demand. According to reports, Australia's inflation rate peaked at 7.8% at the end of 2022, the highest since the 1990s. The dramatic rise in energy prices and food items has affected the public. Moreover, Australia's Reserve Bank has responded to the high inflation in a typical manner by raising interest rates. This results in people paying most of their income to pay interest on mortgages. Another factor contributing to the economic woes of Australia's economy is increasing unemployment. The unemployment rate rose to 4.1% in January 2024, and this is the first time this figure has increased above 4% in the last 2 years. This uncertainty had a glaring effect on the labor market as fewer jobs were available. Not only that, but it also has consequences for interest rates, high inflation, and economic uncertainty. Adding to that, commodity prices are falling. So the income is growing more slowly than in the last few years. That means per capita income is not increasing at the pace it should have been. Adding to that, economic experts have shown a grim picture of the Australian economy due to the housing crisis. The government is spending billions of dollars to address this issue, but it seems like a distant dream. People are worried as rents are skyrocketing and home prices have gone up many folds. To address this issue, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has announced $32 billion for housing and building infrastructure. His vision is to build 1.2 million new homes in the coming 5 years. The goal behind this is to ease the pressure on housing and reduce the soaring prices. According to many experts, this goal may not be achieved due to many reasons. That is due to a lack of confidence among builders, high material prices, and a chronic labor shortage. Despite all the steps, the Australian economy was on the brink of recession at the end of 2023. The only things that kept the economy on track were population growth and skilled immigrants. The recent GDP figures show a horrible picture for the first time in 40 years. Due to stagnant economic growth, Australia just produced 2% more than that in 2022. Moving on, the manufacturing and industrial sectors are the backbone of an advanced economy. However, Australian manufacturing and industry are in a severe crisis due to the shortage of skilled labor. For years, Australian manufacturing thrived on its commitment to quality and efficient supply chain management. But now there is a lack of practical outreach and a policy framework to revitalize this issue. Adding to that, tax policies and the lack of financial incentives have halted economic growth in key sectors. For instance, the manufacturing sector received only 2.5% of the federal budget allocation as compared to the services sector, which received 8%. Another barrier to economic growth is the immigration policy. Australia has certain immigration criteria that prevent skilled immigrants. These immigrants are crucial to driving the essential machinery and contributing to economic growth. However, due to poor immigration policy, there is a critical gap in attracting the manufacturing workforce. According to the reports, the number of skilled visas for manufacturing-related fields has decreased by over 30%. That is no good news for the economic numbers. All these factors have put Australia's economy on its knees. Businesses are shrinking and people are wary of the affordability and high cost of living. There is a significant change in public opinion about the current government policies and their proper implications. In light of our discussion, it is evident why the economic numbers of Australia are in bad shape, but a regulatory framework and policy proposal to gather all key sectors can solve the riddle of Australia's economy. What are your thoughts about it? Do you think Australia will take a more bold approach to addressing its economic woes? Let us know in the comments section. For more such videos and hot topics, stay tuned to our next video and don't forget to subscribe.